Hello and welcome to our first episode of Rimedi Talk podcast, the podcast where we talk about business and everything following it. Today, for our first podcast, we're joined by Seth from Just Happy Marketing. Seth, how are you doing today?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for asking. How are you today?
I'm good. It's really hot in London today. It's really hard to cope with.
Yeah, I know, right?
Absolutely. So if we're just starting from the top,
Yeah.
if you just to give a brief background of yourself and Just Happy Marketing, what you do on a day-to-day basis, like how did it come across, or how do you serve your clients? So yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. All right. Well, I've been doing marketing for about 7, 8 years now, and it just came to a point where I just felt that I could do this by myself, and I first started off doing freelance. I signed up to all the platforms, Upwork, Freelancer, and all of those, and I quickly started getting clients. There was a lot of demand there. I was working in the corporate world in Canary Wharf, so I had a lot of skill to give to the world up there, and I quickly signed my first client. It was a US company, and we then just started working from there on a couple of projects. Then as my profile got bigger and I got some more references, then more clients ended up reaching out, at where I found myself that I was in a crosshairs between doing my day-to-day job, which is a full-time job, and then doing my side hustle at the time. And I personally, I'm a very sort of low to medium risk person. I didn't want to quit my job until I was in a very, very comfortable position. And I just hired someone remotely to start helping me out. And as we were just building more clients and more clients, I had a fortune moment that my big company that I was working for offered a voluntary redundancy. So I thought that would be a great start, a great capital for my business. Something that I really enjoyed about that is that it gives me that flexibility, and it gives you all that learning that comes with it, all the challenges that normally you wouldn't get in that corporate world. So the minute that I got offered that voluntary redundancy package, I just quickly invested that into my company, and I left my job. And then I got more people on board. I hired a lead gen agency to help me with the prospecting, and well, the rest is history.
Congratulations. So in terms of that transition to working for someone and then becoming your own entrepreneur, your own boss, for you, how was that transition? Because for some people it's not easy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not easy. The thing with me is that I've always been I've always done my own thing. I mean, even when I was working in the corporate world, I've always seen things differently. I do, of course, appreciate the processes and the structures in place. I was the type of person that always find limitations within them, and I always would, for example, go out in the Netherverse and just see what's out there and how I can do things better. And I've always sort of never really followed that crowd. And I think for me, the biggest shock was that when I sort of went out of the the corporate world, I think the biggest shock for me was that now I can't make excuses for anything, whether I work this hour or I don't. Time is money. So I think for me that was sort of that biggest shock that I had to face, with the fact that I no longer my time was my money, and I no longer had to rely on that steady paycheck. I had to literally earn my income, and whether I was sick or whether I was busy with other things, it was very much for me, that was sort of that stability was long gone. So for me, that was sort of the biggest challenge, I think. In terms of the transition itself, I mean, I had a very easy transition. Like I said, I built up that client audience before I left my job, so that kind of gave me a bit of a confidence, and given that sort of that paycheck that I got from my redundancy, that gave me some sort of cushion and a safety net that I know that if all goes if it all goes pear-shaped, then I can always rely on that. And I think at the back of my mind, I always knew that even if this agency thing that I was working on didn't pan out the way that I wanted to, I live in a very big city, and I feel like I'm quite employable. So worst case, I can always go back, and then I can just do my side hustles as I go ahead. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, I'm like you. You know that that safety net is so important because you
Mm,
might have things in the back of your head like, what if this happens? What if this happens? So
mm,
it was a really good decision that you made to use that redundancy payment to go and fuel your true passion and your true love. So
yeah.
in terms of when you were getting started and the early days of Just Happy, what was it like? Like, did you really feel that there was a true growth trajectory, or you'd see where you are now?
I mean, it's difficult to say. When I first started, it was all about getting results and getting them quick. I think because was of the essence. I'd like to say that. I mean, now I've got a bit more experience in business, and now I'm a little bit more organized, and when I start something, I have sort of an end goal in mind, and how many sort of how much income I'm going to hit a month and at the end of the year, and where is this going. I think when I first started, I just never had this sort of milestone. I never had this big vision, this big sort of North Star where I'd be like, okay, from today I'm starting my business, and I want to be a millionaire in 5 years, and this is how it's going to get me. It was more like, let's get through to the end of the day, let's make that client happy, let's do one thing at a time, and let's just get through this. And I think as I just progressed with my company, I started to realize that having a North Star is actually very, very important. Then the reason why I started my company really was because I wanted that flexibility. I wanted to be my own boss. Like I said, I did see things a little bit differently than everyone, and I thought I could just do it myself. And it was really that why that gets you through those bad days. And I think that as I just kind of gone through the business and the months were ticking by, it really is helpful to translate that why into a bigger goal. It's I think in any business really, you either go up or you go down. If you're sort of stagnant, it is sort of a really red flag, and you have to keep going up. So once you start, there is no stopping this, right? So it's really important to have that sort of North Star, to have that why, and just to keep going. I think that's probably, because that's going to get you through the good and the bad days, right? That's what you remember why you started in the first place.
100%, 100%. Especially with me, with like when I deal with some of my clients, I think sometimes I get a bit bogged down because,
Mm,
especially being quite young, I try to, it happens subconsciously, but I compare myself to other businesses. Like, okay, this business is doing 100,000 a month revenue, and this and this
yeah.
and this, and it bugs me
Mm,
down sometimes, and you don't even realize you're doing it. You're just doing your own thing, and it's something that, I don't know, it plays heavy on some people's minds, just that
yeah.
comparison.
I think that is a trap in itself. I think, and I learned that lesson very quickly when I first started, because I think that I wanted to be one of the big players very quickly. And the thing with me is that I'm very impatient, and when I
Yeah.
don't see results straight away, I start to get really frustrated. And I learned that you kind of look at it that as the way that I look at it is the way that I look at competition as well. Like, why go and compete with all the big players and where all the sort of the choppy waters are? And because you're a small company, you don't have the resources to compete. And why should you, right? Why, go to where all the calm waters are, when no one's explored the territory, and dominate that area, and you are going to become a leader in itself. And that's sort of true to yourself as well. When you start building yourself up, it's important to not compare yourself, because you'll never feel like you're good enough, and you'll always want something else. And it's good, short term, if you want to sort of motivate yourself, but long term it's just going to end up burning yourself out. So it's really important. I know this is a cliche thing to say, but it's important to compare yourself to yesterday, and and know that, and this is a clear indication, like, if you've done something differently today, and if you're going towards that North Star, and you're doing little by little every day consistently, you are going to get there, and you are going to dominate in your area, and sooner or later you are going to become that big player, and and you are going to become successful in that way. So I think it's really, really important to sort of compare yourself to yourself, because otherwise it's sort of comparing pears and oranges, or apples and oranges.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most important things. So
Yeah.
so we've spoken about the past, we've spoken about your motivation. So just talk about today in terms of Just Happy, the core services that you offer.
Yeah.
This is the unique selling points, your mission, your vision, all of that kind of stuff. This is the chance where you can promote yourself,
Yeah.
sell yourself, get some more clients, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, look, the Just Happy Marketing is a lead gen agency, marketing agency, and we dominate in the health and wellness space, but we also deal with all areas of life, mostly high end, and we offer services from advertising to marketing automation to infrastructure building, anything that really scales your business in that sense. And we've got some really, really happy customers with us. We've seen their business scale 2 or 3 times. We build end-to-end strategy and campaign services. So we do the full thing. And we've got an amazing team here. I'm super proud of my team. I'm very, very happy. Can't do that without them. And we, at the moment, we are scaling rapidly.
Mhm.
And we are looking to bring big players with us. So if any one of you, you or your team or your business are looking to scale, Just Happy Marketing is the company for you.
Wow, that was really good. You really rehearsed it. It was really good.
It just came natural, to be honest.
So in terms of myself, like I deal with like lead gen and marketing agencies to deal with content, because I think nowadays content is one of the most important things to market yourself on, because everyone's on their phone now and everyone's just scrolling. So whether that's LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, that's for me one of the most important things. So I was going to ask you, does social media play a big role for yourself in terms of generating leads, or were you just more focused on the email marketing side of it?
Oh yeah, no, social media, definitely. Social media and all types of media. So we're an integrated, multi-channel digital marketing agency. So not only that we leverage email marketing as a tactic in itself, but we do social media, we do search engine marketing as well. Like you said, content is king. So a lot of the times, people promote content out there, and that's where we come in as well. Part of our success is that we create high value content, and we know the channels that work really well for specific industries and for specific clients. And I think that's where our success lies. Knowing your industry, knowing your client, and knowing what our strengths are, and sort of finding that middle point is where we dominate in that area.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I go back to it. I think for me, especially now, where I don't know if you've considered this, but I see a lot of marketing agency owners or marketing, like the founders, people want to start their own personal brand and keep pushing it forward. So when it comes to the content kind of stuff, I think there's no better way of pushing your personal brand than content. So if any of you out there want to create a course for yourself or anything of the sort. I
Mm.
think creating that personal brand is one of the most important things. I don't know if you've seen it as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think right now, we're in this sort of woke mode where everyone is hungry for content and hungry for, education, and a lot of, like you said, a lot of founders know this, and they're looking at ways on how to get that content out, right? So, using, for example, the means of social media to promote themselves, and even now that everything's just become so easy, it's just imperative that you're on there, especially hustling every day. One of the things I really learned about business and marketing really is connections, right? It's building the right, because when it comes to marketing, it is getting the right message out to the right audience, but it's more than ever important to build the right connections with the right people, and that's what's really going to drive the success of any business. And social media works in that way. If you get the right message out to the right audience, you can pretty much do anything. You can become a coach, you can sell your course. There's a community out there for everyone, and if you can tap into that, then that's what's going to ensure the success of your strategy.
Absolutely. So now we've spoken about the positives, the goods.
Mm,
Everyone enjoys the good side, but in terms of the challenges you might face, or not specific to you, or specific
mm,
to you, if you want to delve into that, what are the
mm.
current challenges that you may face in terms of scaling, in terms of rapid growth? Like what issues do you face on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I mean, that question in itself can be answered in different ways, but I think it's important. I think with every entrepreneur, it's important to remember why you started your business, but also, I guess, have that grounding. I think all of us to some point become a little bit delusional in our vision, in our sort of reach
You
to
know,
that.
you can't be successful without that little bit of delusion.
Yeah, that's it, right? That's it. And that
Valid.
and that and that is a good thing, because that's the thing that you sell. That vision is what you that gets you up in the morning, and that you sell to those people. But it's also important to have grounding as well. Grounding that you can anticipate the sort of realities and the challenges that come with it. So in my sense, I personally wanted to build a platform that is a sort of a sort of well-rounded platform that delivers great service to our clients. And I just start with that every day. And when I start scaling that, I think it's important to remember where you've started, and where you're going, and how you're going to get there. In terms of challenges of scaling, I mean, it's important that you scale, but you are sort of, like I said, grounded in that essence, that you don't sort of overreach, and you've got more coverage. I think it's important that in my instance, for example, I scale rapidly, but I scale in areas that I know are going to bring me, for example, will bear some fruits on that. Every company has got their own strategies. I mean, they scale by hiring more people, by hiring more sales, by getting more clients, by getting investors. It's all different, and each area has its own challenges. I think for me, it's important to make your team very happy, because there's always clients out there. And like I mentioned earlier, we're in this sort of wake phase, especially after COVID, where everyone's just decided that they want to do something for themselves and want to go digitally. So there's always going to be that demand on that side. And, you're always going to get leads, and you're always going to have that opportunity. But it's really important to keep your team happy, because they're they are the foundation of your business. And very quickly you realize what little you have without them. So I think it's really, really important just to appreciate and acknowledge your team, and to give thanks, and to make them happy as you scale, because that team is there for you, and without them, you basically don't have a company,
Of
right?
course, of
So when
course.
you start building your thing, you start to realize that you're more of an HR person than anything. When you start scaling rapidly, you realize you start recruiting, you recruit clients, you recruit team, and I think it's just keeping all the balls in the air and making everyone happy. I think that's one of the biggest challenges. I think
It's hard, right? It's not
it is
easy.
very hard. Yeah.
Dealing with so many egos, so many personalities, and everyone has their own opinion. It's one of the hardest things, but I think that's where the true essence of business comes in, just relationship building and managing.
Exactly. And also creating culture of success. It's important that we're all aligned. I mean, my team are very incentive driven, and they're very hungry for knowledge as well. So it's important to create that culture of understanding and of excellence as well. Because you don't want to have a toxic culture, coming to work every day and you've got problems and you just not dealt with that. And, for me, like you said, it's important to build those connections, because for me, for me, people are people, and we all come with our, awesomeness and challenges as well. And it is important to not treat people like, some numbers. So I think that sort of team management culture and that culture of care and excellence is really important.
100%. So I think where I feel an issue sometimes with my team is because
Mm,
sometimes, like for me, especially in this content thing,
mm,
everything is about turnaround speed.
yeah,
Everything is about, oh,
yeah,
cool, we get the video, bam, bam, bam. And some of the issues that I might personally face is that sometimes the demand for the content, everyone is too hungry for it, but they don't appreciate the process that goes into how we edit, how we script, how we,
yeah.
all of that
Oh,
kind of stuff. So I think it's also trying to tell the clients to maybe measure your expectations slightly, because I know
mm,
everyone, like as you said, everyone's impatient now. Everyone wants to see results straight away.
yeah,
But if people want to, I think with us as well, we put a lot of time and effort and quality into what we do. So again, it's about finding that balance with the clients and as well with our team.
yeah. It's all about keeping all the balls in the air, really, and it
Exactly.
is challenging, right? You have to make your clients happy, you have to make your team happy. You also want to, you know,
Make
do good
yourself happy.
quality and yourself happy, right? Yeah, and you want to do a good job. And for me personally, that's what, at the end of the day, I'm in this business to help clients meet their commercial and brand goals. And when you make someone happy through your quality of work, and your team is happy doing it, and then your client is happy and their order is fulfilled, then you just, this is just all the, you remember why you got into this in the first place.
100%, 100%. So you
Mm,
spoke about one side of the challenges, and
yeah,
now everything is all about AI.
yeah,
AI this, AI that, GPT is everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
So, so in terms of how you're leveraging AI, how would you, for example, bring in those little bits to scale and push your business forward?
Yeah, I mean, AI is a very useful tool. I thought of using it as a marketing assistant, but it's a little bit underdeveloped in that
Mhm.
sense. But amazing tool, amazing tool. I think for us, it helps us. It helps us with strategy planning and proposal building. I think it's a great tool to synthesize a lot of the information, and it's a time saver, let's be honest. But there is also a caveat, because the information that ChatGPT uses can be a year old. So it is, you have to be a little bit, you have to take this a bit with a caveat. But let's just assume that it is what, a perfect tool for us. I normally use it for proposals, for building proposals for clients, for synthesizing large information. Sometimes it helps us build ad copy, but all the time we tweak that. We would never, never send it out without editing it or looking at it, or make sure that we're 100% happy. Definitely a useful tool, but for now it is just a tool, not a member of the team. So that's something
Yeah,
to bear in mind.
I was gonna say, especially if I don't know if you're on social media too much, but you
Mm,
see a lot of like entrepreneurs, so-called entrepreneurs on Twitter, and they say AI will replace your job and this, and that. And I think Really? Not yet. Maybe in the future when they develop it, but now not so much because in certain like marketing, a lot of it is creative. You
Yeah.
need to find ways and new ways of trying to sell your product or your service in on a multitude of different ways. And when it comes to AI, the creativity, I feel that you can tell
Yeah.
when something's written by AI and you lose that feeling of
Yeah.
human connection.
You do, and we mostly use it for idea inspiration. And like I said, it is a time saver, but we rewrite all of our copies anyways. And we don't use that for anything. This is for like industries that we're familiar with, and like I said, it's a great time saver and synthesizes information. But I do believe that AI is going to be an extremely useful tool for marketing. I've seen it firsthand. I've used an AI widget as part of a marketing automation tool to create dynamic subject lines that are tailored specifically to that person's preferences, as well as send it at the times that they're most likely to open it. But like with everything, you need data to your AI is only as good as your data, right?
Absolutely.
So it's important to remember that. But I think having said that, it can be a very useful tool, and I can see AI changing marketing in the next 5 years. I think marketing is going to be completely different because most of the ads, most of the messages that we receive are going to be AI generated and tailored towards us. And we're already actually seeing that with Instagram, and other social media where the AI is already learning our habits, and it's tailoring content specifically to us. So it's showing us reels or ads that are specifically tailored to what we say, what we want, what we like, what we don't like, and it is learning that. So I think this is just the start.
For sure, for sure. And I think you comprehensively answered my next question about the future and the development of AI. Because
Yeah.
with us, like for example, there are certain editing tools that we can use that could completely shorten the process down. So we can literally type in, cut this clip in this situation, do this, and it'll do it for us.
Yeah.
But I still think it, like you said, it still needs that human touch
It
because
does.
you
It does. And
you
I
know what
think,
works.
yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, people say, oh, AI is going to take my job. Well, I can't really say, but at the end of the day, you're still going to need, like you said, you're going to need that human touch. And there's always going to be a need for customization, and there's always going to be need for programming. So, for example, even if AI would become another useful tool in our marketing suite, you're going to need a person to run that. And while AI might save you a lot of time and a lot of money, you're still going to need a person to say, well, I need you to tell me this, and I need you to tell me that. I need you to run this I need you to run this program at this time, and optimize it. And you're always going to need that sort of person to manage it, I guess. So it might eliminate the sort of mundane, sort of basic executable tasks and make marketing a bit more optimized and a bit more targeted, but you're always going to need a person to run those programs. So in that essence, I see a big shift in terms of, yes, some jobs will not be as they were, but like with always, we're humans. We learn, we adapt. We're going to move towards a different type of marketing, and that would be, I think, in my opinion, we would be managing the likes of AI to execute and optimize our campaigns.
100%, 100%. So I think moving forward, in terms of the lessons you've learned from running Just Happy and or the one big takeaway that you can make from your years of experience, what would it be? Because I have a super young audience base and they just want to learn and take everything.
Yeah, I think if I had to do this all over again, I would first of all, and I would say just do it. Just learn. I think for me the biggest issue is that I'm a huge overthinker, and that's how I
It's a
self-sabotage
problem.
myself.
It's a problem.
It is a problem. It is a problem. And I think, I can speak from my experience. I did a lot of procrastination in my time, and then I was overthinking, I was sabotaging myself, and I was in my head, I was talking myself down. So I think the way that I got out of that, and I think a lot of people are sort of faced with that, they want to start something, but they don't know what to do, and they don't have the confidence to, they haven't done it. My advice is just do it, and don't think about failure as failure. Don't think about a setback essentially as a failure. Just think about it as a learning opportunity, and it's just another way to get redirected to where you really want. Just do it, learn from it, and keep going, because that's the only way forward. I would say keep learning, keep doing, keep pushing, keep making connections, and keep going forward. Look at setbacks as challenges and learning opportunities. And the only real failure is when you give up.
Yeah, totally. Like I'm quite young, and my agency or my business hasn't lasted that long, but a lot of the times that I'd overthink, I'm like, I'm not getting any clients. This was more so at the start, but I'd say, I'm not getting any clients today. What do I do? What do I do? Then I just kept going. I just said, you know what, I'm going to dedicate 3 weeks to just solid client acquisition.
Yeah.
And I landed my first client, and then everything just been going up from there. They've referred me. And I think that's
it.
I think referrals is one of the biggest things I
Yes.
learned.
Again, in business, it's all about connections. It's all about creating the connections, not being obviously you end up being connected, but it's all about creating those connections, because you will be able to identify opportunities and problems very easily, and I think that's where the real opportunities are. So the more you talk to people, the more you get yourself out there, the more you understand the real challenges in the industries where you can add value. And it's like you said, it just takes that one client, and if they're happy, then word of mouth probably is the best marketing, isn't it?
Honestly,
That's what
because
I found.
totally. Like you can spend ages sending cold emails and this and that, but the more, from especially what I've experienced and how everyone needs content and what we do and how we script it for them, I think they'll just be like, okay, we'll send you to him. He's good for you. He's good. And then your client base just grows, and then those clients send you over to their friends, and it just keeps going. And it's the most important thing.
And I think that's also true of life. People say, what's the point about, I'm no one, I have got no effect on something. But then that's where, we get it wrong, because, we don't realize how much we influence the people around us. And for every one of us, there's another 10 people that we can easily influence through social media, through conversations. And then imagine every one of those 10 people knows another 10 people.
Yes.
You see how the effect multiplies. I think that's very true for many things, I think, in life, including business as well. The minute that someone sees your value and see how you positively influence their business, of course they're going to recommend it to 5 people or 10 more people. And then if you add value there, then they're going to recommend 10 more people, and essentially that's how you grow connections.
Absolutely. So in terms of like your future plans for Just Happy, I know you said you want to scale your team rapidly and get people coming in. So if anyone watching this, you got to email Seth, because he's got some positions for you right now. But in terms of where you see yourself going in the future, how do you see yourself growing and expanding Just Happy?
I think one thing I've realized is that gone are the days where we would just bring clients inquiries, and we would just shake hands, and we would just say, okay, that's our job done. I think marketing is becoming a lot more comprehensive. I think businesses expectations and requirements are growing. So this isn't a case where I bring you inquiries and then we I bill you on that. It's really about the attribution to that pipeline and how we impact that. And I think going forward, I would like to build a very centralized hub for all marketing services where for lead gen specifically, where we don't just bring inquiries, but we bring bookings, and we create a more sort of enhanced service where people can come to us and they really see that the value that we bring, and then we can just give them, they can come through us and they can say, okay, I want 10 bookings. So we go to do our lead gen, then we qualify them, then we make sure that they're right for the business, we screen them, we recruit them, like I said earlier, and then we give them those bookings. I think that's where we want to be. We want to move away from that sort of very basic lead gen, and we want to become a very much more comprehensive integrated service, essentially. Yeah,
Totally. Well, I think, yeah, thank you for jumping on. Thank you for hopping on my first podcast. Genuinely, this means so much to me.
Pleasure.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, do all that good stuff. Take care, and we'll see you very soon in another episode.